manually, humanly it's not possible, right? But a compute can actually deliver that for me. So that's how.
Do you think AI can help me grow hair?
You don't need AI for that, Anurag. This already solved.
Do you think I need to grow hair? Okay.
That's all. That's all. You're
On a serious note, I've known Gyan for a long, long time. And I can only say, I don't know your name, but we at Businessworld do a ranking of India's most sustainable companies. Every year, this is the 6th year. We do ranking without any influence, and we do last 3 years, the environment minister has been at the forum every year. And we do it with domain experts who understand that domain. I mean, we know a bit about it, but I can't call myself a domain expert in sustainability. And your question is right, because the one thing is for sure, electricity demand is growing with data centers.
Yes.
With the amount of data being churned out every day. So sustainability will become more important.
It is.
And we now know that climate change is not a hoax. Donald Trump famously said it's a hoax. It's not a hoax.
Yeah.
Right? Like a lot of crazy things he says. The most important thing is AI is about prompts. It's like life. You must know who to ask the right question, what question to ask. So the more you do, it's like swimming, cycling, running, whatever. The more you use AI, the better you get, because it's the right prompts. In fact, I'm starting a show. I wanted to start it in last Feb. It's called The Prompt. From tomorrow, I started a new podcast. It's called Dropout. I only talk to people who dropped out of school and doing interesting things. I don't believe in success. You have to have interesting lives. That is success, right? But I'm going to start from 1st November a podcast on where I call The Prompt. Because AI is only about what you will ask. It's how trained you are to be or evolved you are. So the better the prompt, the better the.
We just moved away from prompt all well. Now I think AI
with the agentic.
Yeah. So I think agentic is going to change a lot of the prompting that you're doing. It will tell you what you should be asking rather than you telling that. Once I know enough about you.
It'll be like your wife, right?
Well. So you'd like to be. Sorry, I'm going to just interrupt a bit. You've got the champion on sustainability here. I just realized that I walked in that side. But like I said, that sustainability is part of your life. You have to integrate it, but you have to realize that the carbon footprint is actually a scientific calculation. I, as an apparel brand, have been the first one to have actually got the carbon footprint of every product we are making calculated. It is a blockchain way of doing it. It's a scientific way of doing it. We all need to make that focus change in trying to choose right by making and going and purchasing things where you're given that transparency. Because this is true. Unless you know where your product is going and what's the journey, you're just going to be fooled again and again. So you also have to make that effort to make the change. It's not about AI, it's not about technology, it's about making the right decisions as well. So I think that's the little bit I would say on sustainability. And of course we have the champion here, so there's nothing much to say.
Thanks, and I think it's just that AI will make your decision making more smarter.
Speakers to keep it to their time, and our next speaker is Ms. Deepika Narayan Bharadwaj. She is the director, Ekam Nyay Foundation. Ms. Narayan is an Indian journalist, documentary filmmaker, and a men's rights activist. Her documentary films focus on gender politics as it intersects with laws, justice, culture, society, and she's going to talk about discovering my why, the journey to purpose. I request Ms. Bharadwaj to join us.
I used to work together, and then we discovered she also went to the same engineering institution as me, of course many years apart, right? Like I share my birthday with my daughter, I tell we have the same birthday but 32 years apart. So similarly she went to the college much later than I went. But I want to tell you about Deepika. I have met lots of people. Almost everyone who's speaking here is somebody I know personally well, right from Dakshi. Sudhirji, you're not speaking because your children are getting awards, so that's the only reason you're not speaking. I met her maybe 15 years back, roughly, right? She came through some reference, I don't remember. Met her and she became our best reporter. She used to write for Exchange Media. And one day something happened in her personal life. And Deepika is a very honest person and very conscientious person. I remember last year, I called her, a friend of mine was in some trouble, and she said, your friend is not right, I will not take this course. Right? And I respect her because I really know her well. Right? She fights for helping men, gentlemen, when they get false rape cases, or they get false dowry cases, or in some cases their partners or wives are harassing, don't give them custody of children, and you know how traumatic that can. I remember meeting her on a Holi 10 years back, and I was sad about something, and she said, "Chalo, Anurag, sir, chalo." She took me to Ames, and she made me meet a guard, and whose wife was wanting too much money from him as a alimony. And the guard possibly used to get 6,000 or 10,000 rupees. And she said, "Chalo, ab iski dawai kharido." Right? Ab iski aapne job lagwani hai. So she changed my attention. So she does very good work.
Anurag sir, for such a warm welcome. I don't usually write speeches, but then I respect every forum that my former boss organizes, and so I have to be really, really prepared. Discovering my why, the journey to purpose. In January 2024, I received a call from a man at 10:30 p.m. at night. His name is Dheeraj Gupta. He's from Delhi. He told me he has just come out from jail after spending 5 months behind bars, and he started crying profusely. We often don't hear men cry, but with the work that I do, I hear such cries every single day. Dheeraj told me he was falsely accused of rape by a woman he had never seen. Never seen. He didn't know her name. He had not even touched her. But he was accused of rape by a woman like that. And the police immediately arrested him. No matter how much he cried of his innocence, he was not heard. And I would not be afraid to say that was only because he is a man. There was not a shred of truth in allegations made by the woman against him, but he was still arrested and thrown in the darkness of prison. His dignity, his respect, his livelihood taken away in seconds, though he had done no wrong. Dheeraj's wife was pregnant. People believe I fight only for men, but you have to understand that every man is connected to a family which also has women and which also has children. Dheeraj's wife was pregnant when he was taken into custody, and the woman and her accomplices who framed him in this false rape case wanted to extort 33 lakhs from him. They had to pay up because their family was in complete shambles. After listening to his story, I told Dheeraj that, Dheeraj, please don't cry. I will do whatever it takes to get you justice. From January 2024 till July 2025, I kept doing rounds to one platform, to the other platform, going and meeting the DGP of Haryana, going and meeting the former Home Minister of Haryana, because the case against him was lodged in Faridabad. And finally, we got a special investigation team formed by the orders of DGP Haryana to look into this case. And in July 2025, I got those culprits arrested. Nobody heard Dheeraj, but we did.
We've been sitting through the morning, so let's keep going. Last 10 seconds, a little faster. Can I see you go a little faster? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, you see the chair? Come in front of the chair. I want you to just settle down, sit and get up. Make sure your feet are flat. It's like a simple squat. Those of you who've never done the squat, this is a great way to start. So just touch your back and get up. Keeping your feet flat. Very good. And breathe out when you go up. Don't hold your breath and keep that smile while you're moving up and down. Keep moving. Last 10. 9. 8. Very good. 7. Keeping your feet flat. 6. 5. Shoulder width apart. Feet shoulder width apart. Keep going. 5. Please settle down. Thank you very much for joining me. You see, coming into the space of health and fitness, I'm working as an educator at a school in Noida and leading a team for health and physical education. We are catering to over 2,300 students, and this particular topic that came to me was a really emotional one, and also something that I'm already doing with the students. Fitness as a change for not just them, but for everybody. But since we are catering to Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it's imperative you as parents or as influencers in your own domain, how are we seeing the shift, the trend that is happening? What all have we been doing ourselves? That's the first question to ask. Am I taking care of myself? Am I giving myself 30 minutes out of those 24 hours in a day to give to the movement? It could be anything, whether you walk, whether you jog, bike, dance, swim, gym, anything. Ask yourself that question. And can I see a raise of hands? How many of you have been doing that at least 30 minutes every day? Some sort of movement. Raise your hand. Good. I like that honesty. I like that accountability. If not,
they make sure they carry heavy books, big bag. They don't know how to carry. They are not told where should be the center of gravity. So today I'm just coming back in the morning from the airport. A young girl carrying 3 bags. She's carrying the heavy bag on this side, all on one shoulder. But I am just an ordinary man. So I said, why don't you put it on both shoulders? But they will not. I am passerby. So yeah, and all these children who are having health problems is because of these small issues. Yeah. They don't know where should be the center of gravity. Their spinal cord is just going haywire. Parents also don't know how to educate them on this purpose. I am a local guardian of a little boy, the same issue, but they will not listen much to the mother.
Got it, sir. Got it. We got it.
What should it be?
Yes.
so I think the only thing I would say, sir, to that is awareness. And as a society, as a community, we need to be aware. You are a aware citizen. Even if you can change one child through your observation and your encouragement, I think that's a great.
Through your teaching.
We go on recycling drives. We use biodegradable products, and we also minimize wastage. The prices of our products are quite low, so that everybody can afford them, and it's quite a good business model, I would say.
Hi everyone, so I am Palak Khanna. I run my own youth-led non-profit. It's called Break the Ice, where we work on literally and essentially breaking the ice about conversations that are important, but those that often get ignored. So from gender equality to mental health to climate action, sustainability, menstruation, and much more. I'm also one of Asia's 100 Women Power Leaders for 2023. Where about my journey, I've been a massive introvert. Now I speak on stages, so you can see the journey out there. And yeah, looking forward to this conversation.
I think it's working. Hi everybody, I'm Harshita. I recently graduated MBBS from a government medical college. I've been a youth policy champion for UNICEF India, and I'm currently a young feminist leader with UN Women India. I also recently founded a non-profit called as Bada Hope Foundation, and we're working towards universal health coverage.
Anu? Hi everyone, my name is Anya Wake. I'm the co-founder and managing director of a non-profit. It's called Her Haq, and I work on gender equality. Essentially, the goal is to make sure that the world is a place where women don't have to fight to make their voice heard. I work for the UN, I work for the Foundation for Women's Economic Empowerment. I also create content on gender equality on LinkedIn and other platforms. And yes, I'm back to school now, so I did my undergrad from LSR, I did a postgrad in human rights, and now I'm doing law. So lots of studying and lots of good work to make sure the world is a little more equal.
Hi everybody, I'm Sumedha Mehta and I'm heading partnerships and strategy for One Essentials. One Essentials is an essential oils brand for your well-being. We have essential oils, personal care products, and essentially it's a women-led brand It was started by my aunt, then I joined, and then my mom joined. That's a brief introduction about it.
Thank you so much, Samira. So, Sarin, I'd like to start with you since you're the youngest in the panel and also the only young man slash boy, I would like to say, in the panel. So, when we talk about the, terms like youth, innovation, new age of possibility, the future is you. What comes into your head in the immediate effect?
Yeah, so for me, the future is you. It's like not just a phrase, it's both a reminder and a responsibility. It reminds me that the power to change whatever comes next is not just an abstract idea. It lies in our hands. It's through our hard work, determination, good intent that fuels this power. It's about moving on from someone should to I will. And I feel this is what I get reminded of from the future is you.
Lovely. Palak, you'd like to share your thoughts?
I'll actually add on to that. I think the future is you is kind of, again, a reminder, but also hope as well, right? Because if the future is you and the future, and what I hear from the future is you is also the future is now, because you are the now. So it's kind of a hope and a reminder, because yes, there is so much power in our actions that we are taking today, and that's a reminder, right? A very, very powerful reminder, but there is so much power in the actions that we take today. So there's so much hope added on to that statement. And if those actions are taken properly, they are inclusive, they are intersectional, they are intergenerational, then they can be very, very impactful.
Lovely. Harshita, on that note, like you have just completed your MBBS, what does the future is you holds in your field?
Could I add on to what they said and then come to my field?
Sure.
For me, when I think of the future as you, I'm both reminded of one thing and I look forward to one thing. The first thing that I look forward to is about my dreams, my aspirations, and myself. Like, what do I want to be, and who do I want to be, and what do I want to become? But I'm also reminded that within myself, I carry a legacy, and it's not just my story that I'm sharing, but the stories of the people that I meet every single day, the stories that have made my family, the story of who I am as myself as well. So when someone says the future is you, I feel like the future is all of us, it's a collective, and moving away from just saying it's a one person thing or a one action thing to building on the future is all of us makes it that much more holistic for any of us.
That's a beautiful answer. Anya?
I feel like with so much excitement, there also comes a lot of responsibility and a lot of determination to see what tomorrow looks like for us. I mean, it's a overused quote, but everybody keeps saying you should drive the change that you wish to see tomorrow. And I feel like it holds so much power for young people. If you want to see spaces where there's more representation, more opportunity, more equality, diversity, it's also on us to demand and create those spaces. So I feel like it holds a lot of excitement, but also so much innovation of what we can do, how we can lead, and how we want to be led.
That's also pretty powerful. Sumedha, your take on it?
I personally feel future is you is when I say that I'm taking the ownership of what I'm doing. I'm taking the ownership that I have to build something that is there for tomorrow, that is there not only for me, but for somebody who's, let's say, my future generations, Gen Alpha, somebody who has to take. That is what I feel.
How many of you are, I mean, I know you two are Gen Z. Are you Gen Alpha? So, okay, so we have all Gen Zs here. Okay, so coming to my next question. How do you think this youth, I'm the end of millennials, okay, so on the cusp of Gen Z, to be honest, how is this youth different from the previous generation? So maybe if I start with you only,
Okay.
how would you explain that?
I feel, what I personally feel, coming from the people that I've met, Gen Z, we are ready to take accountability. We are ready to take accountability on terms of saying, yes, I've done this wrong. Yes, I did this wrong. Tell me what to do next. Tell me what should be there that is wrong, and tell that I can answer. So that I personally feel accountability is something that we as Gen Z have taken different.
Do you think Gen Z can take it in a very light manner instead of being
Yes.
are
Yes.
emotionally broken?
So somebody has pinpointed me in saying that, oh, you've done this wrong. Yesterday only my mom said that you've done this wrong. I was like, okay, now tell me what to do. Don't come and pinpoint me. So yeah, that is what I personally feel.
Okay, Anya, what is your take on it?
I would say, and I say this in a positive and negative way, I think the young people today are very impatient in a good way as well. They're very eager and they're very empathetic. I feel like a lot of people say, oh my god, you people are so emotional. But I feel like emotions is not always a bad thing. Empathy comes from emotion, how you think about others, how you think about yourself. And impatient in the sense that I feel like a lot of young people want to see change and they're eager to work on it, which of course sometimes can go wrong. But unless you're impatient and eager, it's very hard to drive fast change. So I think these three things fit well for young people.
I would say bold and unafraid, that we're unafraid to ask the right questions and really sit with uncomfortable truths and really introspect and say, hey, what is it, like, how are we here today? You know, what is the entire reasoning behind why we're here today, and what is it that we want to take and do to the future? I feel like when we sit with these truths, we also ask a lot of uncomfortable questions that not a lot of people are willing to answer. But that also brings back to what like Anya and Sumedha were saying, that we're impatient to create this change, but we're also really bold in our actions, and we're taking accountability for what it is that we can do, while also trying to listen in and learn from the mistakes of the past.
So you think previous generations don't do that? Learn from the mistakes of their past?
I feel like we come in a lot more numbers than the previous generations. So if we play a numbers game, then probably a lot more.
Okay.
I think, yeah, I would add on to everything being said already. I think I would phrase it differently, not impatience. I think a sense of urgency maybe. I think we have a sense of urgency in the way that we want to implement things, because we can see the climate crisis happening. We can see things already happening, so we want to be urgent with our actions, which is again a good and a bad thing. In a relative sense, it is a positive characteristic, that we have that sense of urgency on, I want to implement this now, I want to experiment with this now, I want to collaborate now, because we are, again, we're not just inheriting a future, we're kind of co-creating that future as well, which is a positive thing for Gen Z, because we are asking questions, we are raising those questions. Whether those are the right questions or not, that's a different conversation, but I think more so we are ready to ask those questions in the right rooms and be like, this is not just a future that I want to see, I want to build it with you, and maybe remake parts of it, rebuild parts of it, and essentially co-create it, so that when we inherit it, it's a co-created collective future for everyone. So I think, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, like everybody raised, identifying the problems, asking the right questions. I feel like we, as a generation, we have a wider access to like information, technology, and quite a few platforms like this. So we have what the previous generation did not have. We have a lot of inputs we can go through, and I feel like the younger generation is more daring as well. And when you couple this with the platforms provided, I think that makes the change. That it marks the difference between the new thinking and the older thinking.
Okay. Anya, I have a question for you. You mentioned that Gen Z is more empathetic, but also research says that they are more numb than the previous generations. Would you like to talk about that?
More numb?
More numb.
I feel like obviously I don't know what the research source is, but I feel like there are a lot of generalization statements made about young people, generally about how they're unstable or how they're overly emotional, which I don't think applies to everybody. So I wouldn't say that I feel like young people are numb, but what I would also say, they are indifferent to stereotypes and social norms that exist in a lot of places. So for example, workplaces, we've seen generations before being okay with how employers treat employees. And young people are indifferent to that. They don't want the same systemic norms to continue. They are okay with moving on, they're okay with questioning it, they're okay with challenging it. So maybe if we put that in the numb category, then sure, young people are numb to sort of the things that might happen if they question their bosses, or if they question, okay, I want a work-life balance. which, like I said, isn't a bad thing. And I also think depends on the circumstances, because not everybody can afford a work-life balance depending on their socio-economic status, gender, so much more, right? So I don't think young people are numb. I would just say they are indifferent in demanding what they feel is right.
That's very well said, actually. Okay, so coming on to my next question, we are also talking about innovation and new age of possibility. Now, when we talk about innovation, most of the times as we are big up the business world, we talk about business. And innovation usually ties with technology. In your respective fields, if I may ask individually, that what does innovation mean to you, and what does it mean to your individual fields? If I start.
So, like, innovation is not just apps or algorithms. It's about creating like a real and long-lasting change. You know, it's not about going on and on about those numbers and everything. Innovation, in my field, like for entrepreneurship, it's like the idea of creativity. It's finding more opportunities where people set limits. It's creating a lot of things about from a place where people don't see anything. It's about identifying the potential and stuff and using the right resources to avail it.
Okay.
I think innovation is, of course, essentially the meaning of innovation and a broader term for innovation is creation, right? For me, at a microscopic lens, it is how do we create at a microscopic lens as well. So is creation happening through the smaller, difficult conversations we're having? Is creation happening through maybe a youth-led campaign we lead? Is innovation happening through a conversation we are having digitally through a poster or a social media post? Innovation is essentially how do we create those smaller, again, actions, conversations, campaigns that would essentially build that ripple effect of change, right? Because again, when you link it to change, when you link it to social impact, innovation goes beyond tech. It goes much beyond creation as well. It goes beyond to the space of how do I create that small moment that then leads to a ripple effect that ultimately creates the change and impact that we're looking at. And that could be very small. That could be something as simple as a conversation, like I said. It could be something as major as changing a mindset or breaking a stigma. And it could be something as massive as leading a digital campaign as well. So I think it depends on what you're hoping to do through it, but essentially the core of it through the lens of social impact is how do I build that ripple effect of change.
Okay, Ashita?
I'd like to answer this with an analogy.
Please do.
So I recently actually gave a TEDx talk similar to this. So this is something that's quite close to me. And I was talking about how if you look at people, and thus if you look at systems, because systems are created by people, then you can draw an analogy between the both of them, right? They're both pretty imperfect because we're imperfect, and that's completely all right. But that's where there's a lot of beauty in it, right? Like if you bring in all these imperfections together, but you take in like a self-introspective lens to it, you essentially build something which is a kaleidoscope, which is composed of like all the people you've met, the experiences you've had, the things that you've seen, the memories you've made, and all of that. So if people are walking kaleidoscopes and systems are walking kaleidoscopes, but because you have a kaleidoscope, it means that each time you shift your lens, you shift and get a different perspective, but you also get a different pattern. And I feel like if you broaden that to even like the changes that we want to see today, it means there's no one way to solve a problem. And it means there's also no right way to solve a problem. Because it is multifaceted, just like a kaleidoscope, and it means that our solutions must be multifaceted. It's not just about employing an intersectional lens. It means that sometimes you need to look at it from a different perspective, give it a different solution to that problem, which might result in a new problem, but that also has a different solution. And so you keep innovating, you keep turning the lens, you keep changing that perspective, that mindset, and you keep sharing that with others until everybody has their own kaleidoscopes that they're using to create that change. And for me, I think that's the best example of innovation.
That's very wonderfully explained.
I think I'm going to share about how we do our work to sort of mention how innovation and technology, while hand in hand, sometimes can mean very different things. And I'll speak a little bit in Hindi as well. We work on ground with a lot of adolescents, men and boys included. और हमारा बहुत सारा काम is around menstruation and periods, something that has existed from time immemorial. But the thing is, in a lot of ways and in a lot of senses, society still thinks of periods in a certain life. लड़के ऐसे ही सोचते हैं. When I was in school, a lot of people would get bullied for whatever reason, right? Because stigma begins from curiosity when you don't answer questions at a younger age. So our goal has always been to include men and boys in this conversation. So innovation for us is not always ki, okay, how many people can we fit in a room, how many pads can we distribute. Innovation is कि आप उस कमरे से जब step out करो, after talking to all of the men and boys or women or girls, they still think the way that you've sort of helped them reach that stage. They don't go back to square zero or step zero, right? So we have to make sure that our approaches are relatable but also empathetic and also making sure कि mindset बदल रहा है लोगों का. सिर्फ आपकी impact numbers stick नहीं हो रहे. You're not just reaching out to, oh my god, I've reached out to 10,000 people, I've sort of trained 10,000 young people. It's about अगर आपके उस कमरे से निकलने के बाद 5 लड़के भी घर पे period शब्द बेझिझक यूज कर सकते हैं. They can be there for their mothers, their sisters, they can go and buy sanitary napkins. That I think is innovation and impact together. So for me, innovation is impact.
I really hope it goes a long way. I really do.
Right. When I come to my field, where it's a B2C brand, and I can say my brand has innovated in understanding जो ancient wellness था. Let's say अब आप लोग भी यूज करते होगे. Let's say आप you go and नानी दादियों के जो नुस्खे होते थे. That let's say you want to, if you have some hair fall, she would give you some oil to put or something of that sort. Choose one essentials. So yeah, our brand has this ability on turning ancient visionary into a modern wellness brand, and how technology is not the only possibility, and how little things, when we keep in mind while building a brand, little things. When we had about 1,000 odd people before starting this brand, we gave samples to everybody. They gave us our feedback, they gave us their solutions, their what should be changed, and that is how we innovated, I feel.
Okay, that's nice. Harshita, let's start with you on this. Dr. Harshita, actually. What is the biggest challenge that you face as a young individual when you bring out new ideas? Because as we were talking also previously, that there are challenges. What would be that one challenge that is just really you scrutinized and like why? And then you overcame it?
I think one of the keynote speakers today also spoke about it, but it's the fact that everything is so digitalized right now. So everything is like micro-scrutinized. Anything that you say can be, if taken out of context, can be extremely disastrous. But also, because everything is online, there's so much of information and misinformation that's out there. You feel like you're always living under, a video lens. That every moment has to be something that's viral. That everything that you say has to somehow be very perfectly said, making sure it's in relation to like all the circumstances. So as a change maker, sometimes I really wonder if what I'm saying comes from a very human rights approach or an intersectional approach, or the things that I want to talk about, right? Like health and well-being. Like, am I speaking on behalf of someone, or am I speaking from my lived experience? Because I don't want to be someone who speaks on behalf of someone and then ends up becoming someone who youth washes or tokenizes or does any of that. And because I'm under this lens and I'm also someone who speaks on a lot of public platforms, that scrutiny becomes a lot more difficult to deal with at times.
Okay. Sarim, being in your teens, giving out new ideas, what challenges do you face, especially as a, budding, growing individual? What challenges are you and how do you overcome it?
So personally for me and quite a few out there, the main challenge we face is about being taken seriously. Of course, whenever you introduce a new idea into the market, of course, it will be open to quite a few questions, criticism, doubts, and so much more. But the best way to overcome this is by putting your ideas into action. And this can only be done by staying consistent. And a very important part is finding a good mentor you trust in. And finding a good mentor can lead you to so many beautiful things. And let the impact do the talking, because the haters will only be silenced when they see the result of the impact.
Okay, Palak, your biggest challenge?
I think it's more or less been covered, but I would say that I think the age bias, right? I think that's one of the major challenges, because oftentimes when you are the youngest person in the room, for example, or you're young, right? When there is an age kind of tag attached to it, a lot of people will take your ideas a bit more lightly, because there's often a bias that age is equal to experience. And I wouldn't say this is a bias that exists everywhere, it's a relative bias. Like your ideas would be relatively less serious because of the age tag attached to it. I think that is one major bias that exists. And since, I mean, I often mention this to a lot of young people and again, fellow changemakers as well, that you can switch that very easily, because if age is considered maybe a disadvantage, it can be your biggest advantage as well. It's the way that you utilize it. It is the way that you say, yes, I'm the youngest person in the room and that is why I bring fresher perspectives. And I'm happy to, collaborate, learn, get that right mentorship and carve out that idea with you, so that again, the age thing gets eliminated. Instead, it is a collaborative, co-created solution.
You focused a lot on co-created. I really like that.
I'll just add, because almost they've spoken. I feel every Gen Z has the same problem. Every Gen Z has the same problem. My problem is being taken seriously. When people tend to, because my brand is such where not everybody has a knowledge about knowing what essential oil is. But I'll give you a fact, everybody. Anything that you use, let's say a toothpaste or a shampoo, has essential oil. So if you are using that, why not just use the essential oil? Why do you have to put chemicals on your head, on your foot, anywhere to essentially do that? So yeah, that was it. But a solution, what I thought was patience. Patience can get you somewhere. Patience, helping them understand, communicating, understanding, getting them to know, and also telling them, if somebody asks me, why should I use that? And I'm like, why not? Try it. Yes.
Awareness is something.
Young people have started getting a chair on the table, but problem ये है कि वो chair बहुत unequal है. 4-5 इंच छोटी होती है बाकी सब लोगों से. So while they call you, they invite you, they want to hear what you are saying. What often ends up happening is just a tokenistic representation, and I don't think I have a solution for it, to be fairly honest, right? Because all of them talked about, oh, it's an age thing, it's an experience thing, and all of those things do exist. But I feel like only when there is intergenerational support, when older people or more experienced people start taking young people more seriously, is when it will change. So we just don't need a seat on the table, we need an equal seat on the table.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Very can I ask a question before
yes,
you wrap up? My close friends, age is a different thing. I want you to be real about it. I want to ask you, why is fame, why do you talk about, why is fame so important to you? Why is fame so important to you? What is more important, impact? If, of course, you could always say fame leads to impact and all. But oh, I just did a TED talk. Like, my joke is, except my driver and cook, everybody is done one. Okay? I'm not doing it. I'm just saying, why is fame so important?
I think I'll reverse your statement. I think impact also leads to fame, and I think everybody looks at fame very differently. हाँ, young लोगों का एक problem ज़रूर है that they want a lot of space online, they want to be featured, they want all of that. पर मुझे लगता है that a lot of times those are the spaces that they can take over and let others know that this is the work that we're doing. Because otherwise हमें वैसे ही कोई seriously नहीं लेता. But yes, I agree.
That's not true. I think I have learned, like when I meet young people, they are totally different. They're starting a new idea. I don't understand, but these days I know that it may well work out. Just because I don't understand or I think differently. So I think being young is an advantage, especially in a tech-enabled world and entrepreneurship. So I don't think people that don't take it seriously possibly are missing out.
Yeah, and I would just say that there's also a difference between fame and visibility. So maybe young people want more visibility, but of course, not all young people are the same, like you said. So somebody can run behind whatever talks, etc. But I think for some of us, we believe that impact will lead to fame and visibility.
I'm very worried about your age. सारे में आपकी age ठीक है? ऐसा लगता है आप 30 साल के हो सब 35. You know, you guys are really wise. I mean, to hold attention and so very, very happy to meet all of you.
When you become a change maker. And I don't want it to be a lecture, so please raise your hands. Feel free to interrupt me and ask questions. In 1977, I left my school, La Martiniere. I joined King George's Medical College. I love operating. And when I was operating, I loved my work. I was in a government hospital in Delhi, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. And then in 1990, you know what happens in AIMS? You get picked up by the best private hospitals, that you come and you start work here. And when I joined this private hospital, I realized that the poor are not welcome. If there's a lady wearing a shabby sari, smelling a bit dirty, the marketing people will go and say, can you afford treatment here? Why are you here? There was a very subtle discrimination, should I say not so subtle discrimination. So I went to these women and I found out they are from the surrounding slums. Any nice building in Delhi has got slums clinging to the backside. You go to the WHO building, you go anywhere, little shanties clinging cheek by jowl with the big building. So I moved into the slums to ask people, what do you need? I'm a doctor. I used to be mobbed. I used to take crates, big cartons of medicines and a prescription pad, sit on a charpai and treat patients. So far so good. And then I realized I must incorporate an organization and do it on a formal setting. That was the time I started my first NGO. And it was very successful. We were the biggest TB treatment NGO in India and the third largest in the world. Thank you for the clapping, but now listen to the pitfalls of being a social entrepreneur. We sometimes take people at their face value. We don't see the duplicity, we don't see the mask. The CEO who was working with me, one day, 15 years after establishing the organization, the accounts people come and tell me, ma'am, so many crores have been siphoned away by the CEO. Transferred to shell companies, every IT violation done, transferred to countries abroad, transferred to his son, aunt, nephew, everybody. And I got the shock of my life because I had invested 15 years of my medical expertise and experience doing fundraising, doing lectures abroad, doing everything. I got such a terrible shock. I thought I'll never recover. Well, the US board told me, you go and fight a case against him and let the organization stop its work and all the rest of it. But imagine what a setback it was. I thought I will collapse. It's like you bringing up a child and after 15 years you find your child is a terrorist or a murderer. How would you feel? And then of course the legal process and the heartbreak and all the rest of it. But I thought, why should I stop my work? And I moved on to another organization called Every Infant Matters. This was started by another doctor, my daughter Radhika, who's a pediatrician. Now I'll tell you her story. I'll take a 1-second break, and if there are any comments or questions, I will take those. There was a little 4-year-old girl. The girl had pneumonitis. Normally pneumonia babies are collapsing. They're like this. And this 4-year-old girl was screaming, hitting her mother, pulling the mother's hair. And the mother said, doctor, the mother was distraught. Doctor, give her some comfort, but let her die. Has anyone ever heard a mother say that about a sick child? Let her die. And then Radhika explored a bit more, examined a bit more, and then she realized the child was completely blind, and she had become blind just a few months ago. This was permanent blindness due to vitamin A deficiency, something that could have been treated, by 2 drops of vitamin A that cost 20 rupees. This was a revelation. There are 200 million children in the world. There is no NGO really focused on this. Let me start work on this. This is how Every Infant Matters was established. And I joined her as its, volunteer CEO, and I haven't looked back since then. So we are doing a lot of work in this domain. We have a holistic health approach. We don't just give vitamin A, though we've given vitamin A to 7.5 lakh children in the remotest parts of India. District Kargil, Indo-Pakistan border, Indo-Bhutan border, then the northeast states, the deserts of Rajasthan. We are there everywhere. But how do you prevent it? You have to address maternal health. So we have a holistic health project where we train government ASHA workers, we hire and train local people as community health workers, and they go door to door, they go to the Mandir Masjid, Gurudwara, they work with social religious leaders, and they do proper antenatal care, and they do hemoglobin testing to prevent anemia. Because anemic teenager, anemic mother, low birth weight baby leads to vitamin A deficiency, blindness, and even deaths. Half of the blind children they die within a few months. Now the project is very good, but there have been challenges. Luckily, we've been fine as far as finances. So what I want to tell all of you is that I'm not saying be suspicious, but be on your guard. There are wolves in sheep's clothing all around you. So be on your guard and verify everything. And now I'm so careful in my daughter's organization, Every Infant Matters, we don't even take funds from a donor unless we know what the funds are all about and what the donor is all about. So don't get tempted. Another thing that happens is there's a lot of, should I say, shady deals going on. People will say, we'll give you so much money, you give us so much money under the table. And that is a very big trap. If you fall into it, you can't escape. Because if you want to give money under the table, you're fudging your accounts. Nothing is more important than transparency and accountability. In the NGO world, honesty is the only policy, not the best policy. There is a saying, Caesar's wife has to be above suspicion. So better to do things honestly and to be above suspicion. I'll take a little break here and have a sip of tea, and it's a
There are some people out there, they will...
Okay, how many young ones? I mean, all the... Okay, now young is... Yeah, after... Younger than Anurag sir, everybody will raise hands. How many are younger than Anurag sir in the room?
Me?
Yeah, of course. Young at heart, right? They'll say. So, and how many of us want to have a startup? Let's say that when I grow up, when Anurag sir grows up, we'll have another startup. So the only thing we need to do, according to me, and that basic has not changed in the last hundreds of years, is articulating the problem that you feel very passionately about. If you see all the founders that you've met, all the guys who've solved some of the other problems, the thesis behind that is whose problem are you solving or what problem are you solving? It starts with that. और उसके बाद playbook बहुत आसान है. Because even if I get, all the kids on a table right now, and I get them to make a list of रोज की क्या problem आप लोग face करते हो? कई बार बस late हो जाती है, कई बार खाना ठंडा होता है. If I tell you, write all the problems that you face in the day, and then pinpoint one problem that irritates you the most. And then just do this exercise, they find the way in which you believe it can be solved. Now it could be a very, very wild idea, but I kid you not, someday, one of you only will ensure that that startup is launched and it solves that problem. But if you ask me, a few things that are very important for a founder to keep in mind, or for a business is, 4 giveaways if I can tell you, is any idea that you have, if you start working on it, give it at least 1,000 days. That's my first principle that I usually follow for any startup, for it to be successful. I have seen many, like ma'am was just talking about her NGO, and of course, incredible work. I follow your work. Most of the times we give up before the 1,000 days. किसी भी business को set करने के लिए कम से कम 3 साल लग जाते हैं. So we need 1,000 days. In the youngsters' perspective, I can say anything that you start has to have a deadline. Otherwise these projects just keep going on. Like in elders, like if I were to start something again, I will give myself 1,000 days before I say whether it has worked or not worked. In the case of young ones, if I were to say, agar kuch bhi dimag mein aaye, you want to write a book, you want to swim the English Channel, we should have a deadline that on this date I will do it, and before that I will make a plan to break it into smaller pieces and I'll achieve it. That's the first one that I think. And I think the second one, to keep it short, would be, I think too much of analysis paralysis kills a lot of great ideas. कई बार हमें लगता है यार कि ये बहुत अच्छा मेरे दिमाग में आइडिया है, but when I talk to 5 people will keep on pinpointing issues with that idea, and you don't go ahead with it. So I think the second thing that you can do is, your idea is like your baby, your project is like your baby, and you need to protect it, with whatever. It's like when you sow the seed in the soil, you have to protect it because it's attacked. So the second is to ensure that whatever you do, don't do too much analysis paralysis, and go ahead and do it.
I'll ask you one question, then I want to bring in some people from here. What has been your biggest learning in building Sirona, making it so successful, so large? What have been your learnings?
I think the biggest one has been that if you're at it, you'll crack it. I think there is nothing more important than persistence. That's the single biggest lesson, because your circumstances will keep on changing. I had sold the company, I bought it back recently, and I think the basics are the same, that the nature of problems have changed a little, but fundamentals are the same. The biggest learning is, if you're at it, you will crack it. Persistence, that's, nothing trumps it.
Let me bring in some youngsters there. Anyone can ask questions. We still have 9 minutes, so I want to make it more conversational. Please, yes.
I run my non-profit, it's called Her Hug, and I work on gender as well, and menstrual hygiene. I think the question that I have for you regarding feminine hygiene is that while we see newer innovations and companies coming up working on this, I still see last mile connectivity to be a big problem that not just companies but the government also has to solve. For example, I see so many of the vending machines of Sirona at airports, etc. But for example, at Indian Railways, there was recently a case where they couldn't find a single sanitary napkin available in any of the washrooms or even in the medical kit, right? So how do we make sure that while innovation is happening, it's also happening at a more inclusive speed?
Now I think I will talk as a business that is for profit. I believe our way of looking at it is really simple here, that I don't think anybody from outside will come to help my business. So I start by saying that if my consumer is here, I need to find a way to make the products available. As of today, if you ask me, majority of our focus happens to be urban, tier 1, maximum tier 2 towns from the for-profit point of view. And we are following their journey to make our products available there. As far as our foundation is concerned, when we look at the foundation, what we do is we work with the underprivileged, and there also we try to say that nobody else from outside is going to come. So we take 1 rupee out of every Sirona product or Peabody product that we sell, and we give it to our foundation or a couple of other partners who we really like. But we work in one block. So my block, for example, is there's Katkatha is an NGO that works with the traffic sex workers. So with one of their projects, we said, yeah, let's get the entire GB road pad-free, sort of a thing we did. So for every business, I think the answer is going to be different. For me, the answer is, let's be where your consumer is, and let's stop expecting help from outside. So my projects with the government are almost next to none.
Yeah, any other?
A real business that makes money, or you? Rashi, a better entrepreneur.
Wife is always right.
Your wife I'm talking of.
Your wife, my wife, always right.
Rashi,
Whether Rashiji makes money, Rashiji doesn't make money, Rashiji makes my life easier.
okay.
As long as
you invented this term refounder, right?
Ji.
Give us the story on that. I mean, I know the story, but
Of course. So journey is very simple. I started this business in 2015 with just one simple objective. I don't want Indian women, including my wife, by then we had our first daughter, who's also here today, to face these issues. So we made a list of problems that women face. And we started with toilets, we moved to menstrual hygiene, we moved to issues that they're facing around sexual hygiene, and we came up with products. We scaled the business to almost 150 odd crore revenue run rate, and I sold it for about 400 crores a couple of years ago. That's on founder phase. And early this year, we decided to buy the business back. So my team told me, we were just doing this नामकरण सेरेमनी, तो बाकी सारे टीम मेंबर तो पुराने थे, because वो तो पिछले 10 साल से चला रहे हैं, मैं पिछले 1.5 साल बाहर था बिजनेस बेचने के बाद. So I was the new joining. So I was given the term कि अब you're not a founder anymore, now you're a re-founder. So वहाँ से now the term re-founder came in. There's a friend, where did your friend who works with us, Anika, she named this. Now you're the re-founder.
It caught my eye, in fact, when I did the story initially. You have a question? I have one question, quick question.
Yeah, please.
So we're talking about Gen Z, Gen Alpha, but our startup story has been within our borders. It has never disrupted anything outside. We still don't have a product, and we still celebrate. We have a reason to celebrate. But how do we go beyond our borders? What do you think the Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the onus lies on that side now?
Yeah, I think of course these guys are, when I look at the younger lot today, they are so full of, I think they believe in chasing their dreams, and I think that's all that's required. हम लोग सोचते हैं अपने दायरे में रह के, मतलब मेरे केस के अंदर the maybe when I started, the only end goal was let me be able to provide for my family and solve a problem for my consumer. It stopped there. This generation today is limitless in the way they think. So it's just a matter of time when you'll see brands from India dominate the world, because now within India there are so many brands which are doing which are replacing the international brands. Whatever, clothes, shoes, whatever we wear have become Indian. So just a matter of time.
Well, my final question, I want to acknowledge the presence of Karthika Sharma ji here.